Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is MUFC vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and I know we're a little early with our three thoughts, but you know what? I had some time on my hands today. I had a lot of things going on tomorrow. I had a special video I wanted to do tomorrow anyway, so with limited time, I thought, you know what? I've had some time to think. I've had some time to kind of write some thoughts down and organize them a little bit. Why not do my three thoughts early, and despite what some may think, I am a little bit out of my feelings, but not quite out of my feelings because I am still raging at our performance. But it's a calm rage now, right? It's like a controlled fire and not like a crazy wildfire. It's like Hulk-like smoldering fire, kind of a thing. So, do my three thoughts on the match. Before we get started, please like the video. I hope, we're doing live. I've been doing a lot more live streams. I like the idea of engaging. Obviously, we're still a growing channel. With your help, we could grow even more and reach more people, reach a broader audience, get more people involved. And I would love to be able to show my appreciation with that by just engaging with you guys more in the live chat. Maybe do some call-ins in the future once I learn how to do call-ins. Maybe have some guests on. I have a lot of people that I talk footy with. I have a lot of guys and gals that I interact with at Detroit Red Devils over at Loaded Dice Brewery. Big up Loaded Dice, big up Detroit Red Devils supporter group, who I think would love to get on, share their thoughts. They have a lot of good perspectives, a lot of good opinions, a lot of good feedback on United, on the performances, on the tactics, on the players, on the manager. And I think that you guys really enjoy that. Plus, like I said, if we could get up to a certain number of subscribers by a certain time, I would love to be able to maybe do a giveaway, maybe like a shirt giveaway. Send that to anybody who wins that. Let me know. Leave a comment. Maybe I'll look at comments and pick one from there. Let me know what you guys think of that. Please subscribe to the channel. Like I said, please like the video. Go check us out, MUFC vs. Everybody on Twitter. And let's get started on my three thoughts as Burnley draw 1-1 against United in just a shower of shite performance today. So first things first, my first thought is Ten Hag got it wrong today. He did. There are a lot of things, and some of it is going to sound like I'm repeating myself, which honestly was what's really infuriating to me. Some of it is just isolated to the match. Now, I know that a lot of people will take the match and some of the things I'm going to say, a lot of the Ten Hag out crowd are going to use it and say, see, I told you, you should have listened, we told you. I try to take the three thoughts, I try to take the match reactions in context of the match itself. I don't try to look at something that happened today and use it, to justify a way I've been feeling all season long. Some things will have connected dots to other matches, like tactics and things like that. That's a repeated thing. We'll get into that, but I'm not just going to generalize and say Ten Hag out and then try to fit anything that's negative into that agenda. That's not how I operate. I don't think it's how people should operate. We got to be open-minded. We got to be objective, which I know is a rare thing in football, but we have to try to be objective. So with that in mind, I do believe Ten Hag got it wrong, and I don't have any problem saying that. I told you I criticize when it's due. I give praise when it's due, whether it's the manager, the players, the owners, whatever. Ten Hag got it wrong today, and it's because of repeated mistakes. So to be fair to Ten Hag, I will preface this by saying a lot of his decisions are limited, especially when it comes to defense. But I do think he got the starting 11 and the subs wrong today. Start with that. I think it's fair to say, going into this match, the vast majority of United fans wanted Amad Diallo to start on the wing. He has been solid for us when he's come on. He did excellently against Liverpool, scoring the winner in that FA Cup quarterfinal. He was really good midweek against Sheffield United. He came on, he showed some control, some composure. You could tell he was reading at the game. His first thought when he gets the ball is not to turn in and shoot. His first thought is to let's create something. Let's see what we can do to help the team. And we need more of that from our wide players. And he's definitely looked better than Anthony. And I'm not trying to take a dig at Antony. It's just a fact. You can say someone is better than another player without it being disrespectful or abuse or digging them out. Like it is what it is. You know, who was it that said we're all idiots just at different things? You know, we're different. I think it was Roy Rogers, maybe. Somebody look that up and let me know. I might end up looking it up myself before the end of the stream because that's going to bug me if I can't remember. I'm going to look it up now. Who said that? We're all idiots. Just at different things. I don't know. I'll look it up later. Anyway, sorry, got derailed. Those kind of things do bug me. That will keep me up tonight. So you could say, yeah, Antony scored, and he showed fight. He showed alertness and determination to get his goal. I get that, and I praised that earlier today. I will praise it now. That's something we've yet to really see from Antony. It's something that we need to see more of if he wants to survive what it might end up being a major cull of the squad this summer. But aside from his goal, what did Antony do? What has he done in recent weeks? You know, because like we said the other day, yeah, better is not good. Better is just not crap. And so he's still got a long way to go to get back to neutral. But it does kind of feel now like Ahmad is becoming almost the new Donny van de Beek. That's not a dig at Donny. You know I love Donny. I've loved Donny since he was at Ajax. I loved him when we got him at United. I think he was horribly mistreated, criminally underused. But Ahmad feels like another case of a player who is better than how he's being treated and definitely better than how he's being utilized right now. And I think that we are suffering as a result as a club by not having him on the pitch. And if Ten Hag doesn't wise up, he will suffer from not having him on the pitch either. So furthermore, so if Mount and McTominay were fit going into this match, I think that either one of them would have been a better option to start over Eriksen. Do you agree? I mean, Eriksen, it's nothing personal against Eriksen, but his legs are gone. And you can say, okay, maybe we were going to have more of the ball because Burnley were going to sit back, maybe like Sheffield. And to a degree, I get that, but it just didn't come off that way. Ten Hag bought Mason Mount. He prioritized Mason Mount. He said he had a personal conversation about giving him the number 7. Mason Mount was his big signing, and signing him as early as we did for as much as he did, prioritizing that cost us in the long run. He clearly likes McTominay as well. So play them. Play them. McTominay has been one of our best players this season, whether you like him or not. It's just a fact. He bought Mount. Mount is fit. Play them. They're going to have more in their legs, more bite than Eriksen. 90-minute Mount came on today, and he only came on because McTominay was injured. He picked up another injury. I don't know what the injury is yet. We'll see what that is. But Mount only came on today because McTominay got injured. Amrabat was Ten Hag's guy this summer, and he can't get a minute. Yes, he's a loanee, but that doesn't matter. Ten Hag still wanted him. And now, because for whatever reason, whether you rate him or not, whether he's not cut out for the league or not, whether Ten Hag changes his mind or not, he's not going to be here next season. And that's a problem because this is Ten Hag's guy. And whether Ten Hag thinks he's going to do it or not, Ten Hag made that decision. And so by not playing him when you have an opportunity to right now, when you have injuries, when you need some of that in midfield, someone like Amrabat, that just basically admitting that you got it wrong. That's all there is, which again is another strike against you for a lot of fans, me included. He comes on ahead of Mount in any regard, and even though Amrabat is leaving and Mount was a priority signing, he comes on ahead of Mount. So maybe that's, I don't know what that is. Ten Hag we know Ten Hag is a bit of a legalistic stickler when it comes to fitness, as we'll talk about later on, but I just don't get it. Make it make sense, please. It's not a good look for Ten Hag. I don't know how Eriksen lasted as long as he did today. He went on with like the 80 some odd minute, and he was anonymous. He wasn't really doing anything. We were seeing a lot of balls in our defensive third kind of popping up around, a lot of headers, and he just wasn't really doing much in those situations. We couldn't get enough of the ball in those moments for him to actually contribute anything. He was anonymous. Kobbie Mainoo was actually completing his passes. I think he has the best pass completion rate of anyone on the pitch yet today. And he was actually making forward passes into the final third. He was trying to make something happen, which we struggle with in general. We struggled to do that. So when Mainu and Højlund were subbed off, Ten Hag was roundly booed by a large portion of the fans in attendance, and I get it. He did say in his post-match comments that the pair needed some rest, but if you saw the camera when on Højlund when he was getting subbed off, that was not a facial expression of a player who needed rest, a player who was tired. That was a facial expression of a player who did not want to come off. And honestly, he had one of these going, like he couldn't understand why. Like he wants to play. Like Ten Hag continued and added that he didn't want them to get injured, and he was trying to protect them. But it's those kind of overly cautious decisions. I get cautious, but there's this overly. These two have been fine for weeks now. Mainu's been fine for months. Like it's this being a little overly cautious, and that can cost you. And at this point in the season, there's a fine line to navigate between being cautious and taking necessary risks to try to just go all out. Okay, so it kind of reminds me of like one of my dogs, right? So one of my dogs had a small ACL tear about 5 years ago. Didn't need surgery. She was in rough shape for a couple weeks, and then we got her better. A lot of painkillers do that. So it is what it is. But because it was a small tear, and if you know anything about ACL tears, it's not like a tear then it heals. It's like tearing a piece of paper. It doesn't really heal on its own necessarily. You either have to get surgery or in the paper analogy, like a staple. So every now and then, if she does a little too much, she'll be sore. She'll limp a little bit. Every now, maybe twice since that happened, she's done it pretty bad, where I've had to carry her around for a couple weeks just to make sure. But my wife and I had to have a hard conversation, because when it came to my dog, I can be very overly cautious and protective. But at the same point, being too cautious can actually be detrimental, because I'm not letting her get her strength back. I'm not letting her muscles get stronger. I'm not letting her do that. Like, I'm very conservative when it comes to that kind of thing, but I have to start being a little bit more open with it and being a little more lenient. Otherwise, she's just going to get worse. And so it is a fine line, and it will be up to me to implement some discernment there. And it will be up to Ten Hag to implement a little bit of discernment versus risk, caution versus, endeavor to get some points, to play these guys. Mainu and Højlund could play. Højlund wants to play. Mainu is actually passing the ball. I mean, Højlund, he's barely getting touches today, even though he has shown that he scores when he does. I think he has like the highest conversion rate in strikers, but like the lowest touches. Like when you get him the ball, he'll score you goals. So I don't understand how he thinks he's tired, because he did not look tired and he's trying to score. When you have to sub off your starting players, it tends to be because they're injured or the tactics just aren't working. I'll let you make up your mind on Ten Hag's subs decisions today and what you think, but it's not a good look when you have to sub off your starting 11 when nothing's physically wrong with them. So some critics might look at Ten Hag's comments and say, he knows that it wasn't working, but we'll see. I do think that the fans at the stadium are starting to turn on Ten Hag a little bit. The booing has become louder, and I think he's starting to react a little bit. He's been asked about it. Some of his comments have been a little bit prickly. I get, to a degree, I get why he did it, right? Just the subs. We need points, like I said. In his post-match comments on the subs didn't help. He added too that the game needed freshness, which I can understand. I mean, maybe it was getting a little boring. Maybe it just wasn't working. You want to change things up. But then to add like tactical, remember he used that term tactical decision when starting Evans over a fit Varane earlier in the season. And he needed someone who can keep the ball and who is creative. And that's why he brought on Scott McTominay. Because when I think creative, keeping the ball, tactics, I think Scott McTominay, right? He's our midfield maestro. He's McDominate, as I've called him sometimes when he scores. I didn't get that one. McTominay is not the midfielder who's press resistant, who's going to keep the ball. He's the guy who's going to make third man runs into the box. He's the guy who's going to cause problems on set pieces in and around the area. He's the guy who's going to pop up in the box and lash home a goal. He's not the guy that you bring on for tactics and creativity. It's just not it. That's what Mainu's there for. You could argue maybe that's what Amrabat and Mount are there for. McTominay comes on, put him up a little higher up the pitch, drop Bruno back if you need to, and start lobbing those long balls into the box. Bypass that press that Burnley were trying to do in ours and try to get these counterattacks going. So again, I've said before, I don't read too much into what managers say in their post-match press conference or any press conference for that matter. But I will add again that I think some of Ten Hag's comments are just not helping his case, and leaving a lot of people with raised eyebrows, scratching their heads, and just going like, bro, what? No. So I'll wrap number one up by repeating myself again, because the whole number one is Ten Hag got it wrong. I've already talked so many times in recent videos about this last little point, but I'm going to leave it on this one. Stop trying to play out from the back without the players to do it. Stop it. It doesn't work. It's causing problems. We saw it again today with their freaking penalty that they got. Stop it. Casemiro's not a center back. He doesn't have the instinct to know what to do with the ball in those situations. So, of course, he's going to head the ball back to Onana like an idiot, not like a 31-year-old five-time Champions League winner. He can't do it. Stop trying to do it. Tell the players, find the wide balls, get it forward, clear the danger. That's all it's going to take. We're good on the counter. We've shown we can do it. Just do it. Ten Hag got that one wrong. He needs to stop. Number two, players are struggling, right? When you get tired, whether you're an athlete, a student, whatever the profession is, whatever, when you get tired, the first thing you lose, especially on the football pitch, is your concentration, your focus. You start making mistakes. I think it's been one or two matches too many for some of these players, and the sloppy mistakes are becoming more and more prevalent as a result. Again, there's only so much you can do. You're a professional footballer. Sometimes you need to play through the pain barrier, but that also means playing through this barrier as well. Staying switched on, finding whatever you need to do, routines, pre-match, whatever you need to do to stay focused. Some self-talk in the match, some addressing negative thoughts if you need to, some just repetition of phrases, whatever. Talking to each other. I mean, for fuck's sake, talk to each other, right? Keep each other switched on. We've had a lot of late goals conceded, a lot of sloppy passing, a lot of switching off, and it's costing us. We have 7 penalties conceded in this season. That's the third most in the league. What's going to make that worse is when I tell you that the 5 of those penalties have been in our last 6 matches. The tail end of the season, right? The last quarter of the season, we are just struggling and we're making sloppy mistakes. How many has Wan-Bissaka conceded on his own, right? Like handballs, tackles, like it's starting to add up, and it's the exact opposite of what we need at this point in the season. It shows that these players are just making simple mistakes because they're losing concentration. They're getting tired. They're switching off, but they're making bad decisions as well. Statman Dave, if you guys ever look at Statman Dave, so he posted earlier too that Højlund received more passes from Onana today than any other player in the United shirt, right? He received 4 passes directly from Onana, 3 from Diogo Dalot, 2 from Bruno. Again, we're not able to complete the passes. We're making sloppy passing, like I said. Not good enough. We just completed over 650 passes against Sheffield, and it was like less than half of that tonight, and it was like 20% less completion rate. We're starting to slow down. We're running on fumes, and as a result, we're making very, very, very sloppy mistakes. Like I said, Wan-Bissaka's gifted numerous pens. Onana has had a few clangers in recent matches. Casemiro looks like he's hanging on by a thread, and it looks mentally like he's already counting the minutes till the end of the season. Like he can't wait to get out of it. He's like a high school senior in the last week of school, and all he can think of is what he's doing in the summer and where he's going to go next year. Like, if the problem too, if Bruno is not producing, like Bruno had 7 goals, 2 assists, and his 5 coming in this match, and just when he's not producing magic, we don't do anything. We can't do that. We can't rely on one player like Bruno to do it. That's why I've said many times, we need floor raisers. We need players who are 90-minute players. We need players who are full season players. We've been riding our luck, and like I've said, we haven't had much luck to ride, but we're running on fumes at this stage of the season, and these players need to dig deep, find some resilience, find that extra gear if they need to, whatever they need to do. I don't care what it is. You want to go do yoga, you want to go do Pilates, you want to do acupuncture, you want to go on a retreat for a day and just sit in a steam bath. I don't care what you do. Get it done to get these last few matches and try to get as many points as you can. And the problem is when you add to all this injury crisis that we're dealing with, it's just reaching new heights. So I know I just said Ten Hag needs to take risks when it comes to players returning from injury and team selection and rotation. But our injuries are taking a lot of the decision-making out of Ten Hag's hands. And it's almost a bit freeing in that regard, because you don't have to sit there and scratch your head about who to pick. You're like, well, I don't have a choice. Here we go, play him. But he has to learn how to take some risks at some point when it comes to walking that line. It's difficult. I wish I could give a straightforward answer other than just he's got to discern when is the right time. And I think he's just being a little too cautious. But he's not helping himself with some of the hypocrisy that I'm seeing in some of his decisions. So how can you push Maguire so hard, but then take off Manu and Højlund, who clearly were fine? Why not bring on or start Mount and Amrabat if he is worried about these injuries? Like, Rashford's gone for 2 matches now. I don't know when he's coming back. I don't even know what injury he is. Camboila, we don't know what's going on with Camboila. McTominay's injured, subs on, and then subbed off today with another injury. We don't know what's going on. We're mounting up. He's got to start trusting these other players. And the injuries, like, these players need to also dig a little deeper, like I've said. So the players need to do better. Ten Hag isn't on the pitch. Ten Hag isn't the one making mistakes. Ten Hag doesn't need to tell these players to look out for a cutback, to clear the ball. I don't get it. In any case, this brings us to number 3. It can get worse, right? Not all bunnies and flowers today. I told you it's not going to be a happy video today. I'm going to take some water because I've been talking a lot. And it's not moonshine, it's water. It looks like moonshine. It's in one of these janky mason jars. But, we bought a bunch of those when at the height of that farmhouse craze and stuff. We got a lot of reclaimed wood going on downstairs in the kitchen. But we have a lot. To be fair, they are nice. I like the handles. But plus, allergies are killing my throat. So, number 3, it can get worse. So Aston Villa's draw against Chelsea today. I don't know if you guys watched that too. People will say Chelsea got robbed. Now it was not. Their goal should not have stood. It was a clear foul by Badiashile. But their Aston Villa's draw means now it's mathematically impossible for United to finish top 4 this season. I know. Shock. It's like I said, it's been out of reach for a while now. Let's be honest. This could have serious repercussions for Ten Hag, though. We've seen managers at United and other clubs get sacked from when mathematically top 4 becomes a thing of the past, right? Just nothing when it's not possible anymore. We've seen it. We have. David Moyes was sacked before the season even finished. Louis van Gaal didn't get top 4, was sacked following the FA Cup final. We've seen it happen. So the one thing in that context, though, that might help Ten Hag a little bit and maybe grant him a stay of execution is that our new manager, our new owners are making the footballing decisions, no longer the Glazers. And they may not be as knee-jerk as the Glazers have been over the last decade. That being said, we are still Man United. Top 4, especially after last season. Yes, you can say we overachieved, but we still achieved. And performance and success, raises expectations. You set the bar, you set a new standard, which Ten Hag did a lot last season. And yeah, we'll give him the injuries too, but still, it's not about the results over the course of the season as it's been about some of his decisions and the performances. That all being said, I would not be surprised if the FA Cup final, the final whistle is blown and we find out the next day that Ten Hag is sacked, whether we win or lose. Again, it's literally the same thing that happened to Louis van Gaal when he was here. Won the FA Cup final. He didn't celebrate. Rooney asked him why he wasn't celebrating. The very next day, we get Louis van Gaal has parted ways with United. So it would not be shocking to see, and I'm still could go either way. Ten Hag, my biggest thing with Ten Hag has been his stubbornness and his unwillingness to alter some tactics now and then, but he hasn't been showing me that he's able to do that. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about some of that in a different video, which I think we'll do tomorrow. But Ten Hag needs to show me more, because right now if you ask me point blank right now, I wouldn't say sack him or keep him, but I would say I worry that the job and the league are a bit too much for him. But we'll see. These last two fixtures that we just played were supposed to be points on the table for us. They were supposed to be 6 points, no brainer, right? And that's not a dig at Sheffield United or Burnley, but they are two relegation teams right now. One of them has just officially been relegated today. That's Sheffield United. So this should have been 6 points for us this week. Should have been 2 wins on the bounce, heading into a tougher, final handful of matches of the season. We have Palace in a little over a week, and they have been in great form. They did lose to City, but they beat Liverpool, they beat West Ham, they beat Newcastle, and they just drew 1-1 against Fulham today. So they kind of peaked a little bit, and now they drew to Fulham. But we're United. We could very easily drop points at Selhurst Park, because they could do the double over us. I was at the reverse fixture at home at Old Trafford against Crystal Palace earlier this season, and it was not a fun atmosphere in there. I'm starting to think I'm a little bit of a curse, because the last couple of times I've gone. So I was at that match, and then the Galatasaray match a few days after, and so it was not a fun little trip for me. The performance was awful. I think we played Amrabat at left back that match I was at, and it was just not great. I mean, that was early in the season. That was like late September, early October, and so we were already struggling with injuries that early. I can't see us pulling out anything against Crystal Palace in a week. And then after that, we host Arsenal a week after that, who are, of course, challenging for the title. I say challenge because it is Arsenal. I mean, I know I should probably keep my powder dry, but it's Arsenal. I mean, come on. If show of hands, who thinks Arsenal are actually going to win the league? I don't see. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. I do think Arsenal were a bit lucky when they beat us early in the season. I was watching that match at a bar with my buddy, and the scoreline did not reflect the match. Arsenal got lucky, and then Arsenal's second goal was a bit of luck. We had a goal taken off, and then we just kind of collapsed, and we were denied a penalty we should have had, clearly. Still not over that, clearly. But Arsenal don't really have anything else to play for in the league, and our players are dropping like flies, so this could not come at a worse time, I think, for us. It would have been great if it was like 2 months ago and Arsenal were kind of fighting on a couple different fronts and they were struggling, and maybe we had some other players, but it's not gonna. Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna happen. And then just a few days after that is Newcastle, who have 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw in their last 5. Newcastle put 4 past Spurs, and they just demolished Sheffield United 5-1. So yeah, I mean, though we put 4 past Sheffield United, and we're shit. So I don't know what that tells you. So we have that to look forward to as well. And then just a few days after Newcastle, thank you Premier League, by the way, we have our final match against Brighton. So awesome. Brighton have obviously kind of regressed to the mean a little bit from where they were last season. You know, De Zerbi came in and it was all bunnies and flowers. I think the same way as like Ange Postecoglou's come in this season and it's all bunnies and flowers. Yeah, some people might argue last season with Ten Hag, it was all bunnies and flowers, and we've regressed to the mean, but we'll see. But Brighton have no wins in their last 5. They have 3 losses, 2 draws, and they've only scored 2 goals total over that whole period. They've only had 2 matches. They've scored 1 goal. But that is still enough for them to beat us these days, right? We just roll over for people right now. We just struggle. So I wouldn't put it past us to drop points against Brighton. I'd be surprised, in fact, if we manage more than 2 points from all of our remaining fixtures combined. I think we'd be lucky to get draws against Newcastle and Brighton. I think we might draw. The other 2, I think, we'll lose. And that's me being generous. Heading into these last two matches, though, I also had us set for at least a place in Europa and Conference League. But after these performances and after dropping points against Burnley, I just don't know anymore. We're shit. Like, I can't, there's no way around it. And then after you think of all that, last couple matches of the league, the performance, injuries, oh, by the way, we just have the small matter of the FA Cup final. Remember when I said it can get worse? It can get worse. And guess what? That's against Man City. It just got even worse, right? So Ten Hag has assured us that Luke Shaw and Lisandro Martinez will be back for the final, which could help us a lot if we get them match fit before the final. We can't have them come in cold into the final and expect miracles. That's the surefire way to lose, surefire way to lose them to more injuries. It just can't happen. They need to come in for at least the match against Brighton, maybe as a sub appearance against Arsenal later in the match. They need to get their legs back. They need to get match fit, and they can't do that in training. Even with Shaw and Licha back, though, how much of a chance do you really give us against City in the final? We all remember what happened last season. Obviously, they're not as good as they were last season, City. And, I think losing Gundogan is a massive, massive loss for them. But they're flying right now. Kevin De Bruyne looks like he's in really, really good form. And Haaland will probably be back for the final. Yeah, it's City. And we're United, so it's math, right? It's just math. If you're a betting person and go put some money on that right now, you might get lucky, but I doubt it. So finally, in terms of getting worse, the way we're picking up injuries like they're part of a Black Friday sale at Target, I wouldn't be shocked if we lost more key players for spells at a time this last few weeks of the season. Like I said, we don't know the extent of McTominay's injury, but it doesn't look good. Praying for the return right now of literally any center back in the squad, because Casemiro has shown that he just doesn't have the instinct. He did fine against Sheffield United, and I can't fault him too much, but it's clear that it's not his position, and we know that. We don't need to be told, but we need somebody back. We need bodies. We've got over a week before our next match. Please, Lord, let somebody come back and get fit, because we are struggling and we need some sort of positivity boost right now. We need defenders. We need people to get back, and it can get worse, though. I do see us dropping more players to injury. I worry about rushing back Licha and Shaw, but we do need them. And so, again, like I said earlier in the video, it's that fine line between navigating injuries, managing it, and it's needs must. Play until they break, some people say. The players, I do think, need to dig a little deeper, and not only means the pain barrier, but that means staying switched on, talking to each other, showing a bit of resilience, some determination, some fight, and just taking better care of the ball. It's just sloppy mistakes that are costing us. It's Ten Hag sticking to his, they're his tactics. I get it, but we can't do it with Maguire, with Casemiro in defense. We just can't. When you've got Onana just on the ball, just standing there, and no one's making any runs, no one's doing anything, and what are we supposed to do? He's shown that he can pick people out on the run. He's shown that he can find a Højlund on the run. He can find Garnacho and Rashford. Just let him do it. Stop slowing things down every time we get the ball in our third, and just fucking launch it, man. Why not? I trust us to win the ball high up the pitch, and I trust us to try to clear it from our own third. So those are my 3 thoughts. I will be back tomorrow with a roundup, and I think tomorrow I'm also, and it could go into the next day, so keep an eye out. I'm going to take a look at some of the managers we've been linked with, and just kind of talking about them a little bit, what they're all about, what I think of them. And if you put a gun to my head and told me to pick one to replace Ten Hag, who would I pick? I think my number 1 pick in that regard is already out of the picture, and that would have been Nagelsmann. But there are still options, and it's interesting. So we'll go from there. Be back tomorrow for the roundup. Don't forget to hit the like button today on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. I would love to get more of you guys involved. Let me know what you think about the Burnley match. Let me know what you think about what I've had to say today. Check us out on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody, and I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Take it easy.